It's Monday, the 17th of June, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes. Let's get cracking. Story number 1, banks will be forced to make it easier for customers to switch loans and notify them over interest rate changes under a bunch of government proposals aimed at easing pressure on homeowners.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers said banks now will be required to always tell customers when their interest rate changes on their transactions or savings account occur. There'll also be improved disclosure requirements for basic deposit products, and banks will also need to make it easier to switch loans by ensuring their customers have direct and easy access to the forms needed to exit a mortgage. The reforms are also targeted at other platforms such as comparison websites, which must better disclose what determines how products are ranked and the financial relationships they might have with different lenders. The government's also announced a regulatory review focusing on the funding costs of small and medium lenders. In short, big banks get funds cheaper than the smaller banks and other lenders, and the government wants to make some changes there.
Sean, no doubt many people would like to see a bit more competition in the housing market. Mind you, though, plenty of homes are still being sold.
Sure are. There was a bounce in the national auction preliminary clearance rate over the weekend to almost 73%, the best result since early May. That came even though there were 900 more auctions in the previous week, 15% more auctions than a year ago, according to CoreLogic. Melbourne had most auctions. Its clearance rate was 70.2%, best since May. Sydney came in at 75%. Adelaide was a touch under 89%. Brisbane was almost 69%. Strong demand's also helping with prices, with CoreLogic's measure of prices over the past 4 weeks up a very solid 0.8%.
All right, Sean, moving on to story number 2, as we head steadily towards the halfway point of the year. And speaking of which, Sean, this Friday is the winter solstice, which is not really the halfway point of the year in terms of markets or anything. But after that point, the days all start getting longer and everyone gets a bit happier. But the halfway point of the year is officially approaching as well. The local stock market has really become a story about the good and bad, and really not a lot in between.
Yeah, if you take a look at what's happened this year on the market, it's very mixed. The technology index is up an amazing 25% in 2024, reflecting the incredible performance of tech stocks on Wall Street, particularly anything related to AI or data centers. Then there's a group like the financials, utilities, real estate and consumer discretionary. They're all up around sort of 9-10%, done very well on the fact that interest rates are no longer rising. Other end of the barbell, BHP, Rio Tinto, Fortescue Metals, the miners done very poorly. The energy index is down. So too the telco index, which is very much reliant on Telstra. The ASX itself is up under 2%, but it's a barbell market. The good, the bad, and not much in between.
All right, Sean, on to story number 3. The relationship between Beijing and Canberra is back on track, according to Chinese Premier Li Qiang, who will meet today with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
Mr. Lee's visit is the most senior ministerial trip to Australia since 2017. He said shelving differences had helped get the bilateral relationship back on track after a period of twists and turns. Foreign Minister Penny Wong said the visit was a culmination of 2 years of diplomacy to bring about a stabilisation of the relationship. Trade and Tourism Minister Don Farrell rejected suggestions that Canberra had kowtowed to Beijing. And of course, there was panda diplomacy. Always is. South Australian Premier Peter Malinauskas said the announcement that 2 pandas will replace Wang Wang and Fu Ni at Adelaide Zoo is a big deal and a great win for diplomacy.
Story number 4, Sean, Bitcoin is coming to the ASX with the first Bitcoin exchange-traded fund marketed by Van Eck to debut on Thursday.
The Van Eck Bitcoin ETF is the first on the local exchange, and it will track the price of Bitcoin, which is far and away the most widely held and actively traded cryptocurrency. One of the world's biggest investment management companies, Van Eck's local boss, Arian Neron, is quoted in the media saying that Bitcoin is an emerging asset class that many advisors and investors want. The approval comes 6 months after the US regulator approved 9 Bitcoin ETFs over there. For many retail investors, it just makes investing in Bitcoin much easier because they can trade it just like they trade shares.
Last one, Sean. Story number 5. A disease caused by a rare flesh-eating bacteria that can kill people within 48 hours is spreading in Japan after the country relaxed COVID-era restrictions.
It sounds comic book, but it's actually true. Cases of streptococcal toxic shock syndrome have reached 977 so far this year, higher than the record 941 cases reported for all of last year, according to the National Institute of Infectious Diseases. Group A streptococcus typically causes swelling and sore throat in children. Strep throat, we know it as, but some types of bacteria can lead to symptoms developing rapidly, including limb pain, swelling, fever, low blood pressure. That can be followed by all sorts of nasty things, breathing problems, organ failure, and ultimately death. People over 50 are more prone to the disease, according to a report on Bloomberg. Most of the deaths happen within 48 hours. Other countries have experienced recent outbreaks in late 2022. At least 5 European nations reported to the World Health Organization an increase in cases of streptococcus disease. At this current rate, the number of cases in Japan could reach 2,500 this year, with a terrifying mortality rate of 30%.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 17th of June, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 business news by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.